Do you ever find that you have goals and things that you want to accomplish, but can never get them done? It can be demoralizing to feel that you're not accomplishing what you think you should be accomplishing. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some psychological tools that you can use to help you succeed at all of your goals. Hi everyone. Suppose I asked you, what are some of your goals? Is it to complete a degree, get a great job, get married, buy a house, travel, run a marathon? We all have things that we want to accomplish. But what happens when we feel stuck and unable to accomplish those goals? Today we're going to be talking about how you can almost guarantee that you're going to succeed at every goal that you set for yourself. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about succeeding at goals. Now, every year it rolls around, New Year's is an interesting time of year. People set all sorts of goals for themselves and for the upcoming year, and we call these New Year's resolutions. So things like getting into shape, being a better friend, saving more money, eating healthier, being more successful at work, getting better grades, finally finding that relationship I've been looking for. Have you ever set New Year's resolutions before? If so, how'd they work out? Now the thing is, New Year's resolutions almost always fail because nothing actually happens at the stroke of midnight on January 1st. It's almost like we expect some sort of magical change to occur, but you're the same person you were on December 31st. Nothing's different. Yet, we somehow expect that we're going to suddenly be able to accomplish all sorts of things that we weren't doing the year before. It's a recipe for failure. And people do it all the time. If you want to accomplish your goals and succeed at what you're working towards, the New Year's resolution approach simply doesn't work. So what I want to do is discuss how you can accomplish your goals and some psychological tools you can use to succeed at every goal that you set for yourself. Now, I've discussed this in a previous video when I was talking about depression, but these are skills that you can apply and that apply to everyone, depression or not. And the key centers around changing the way you think about goals and shifting your mind to thinking about goals in a very different way. And if you can do this, you'll be able to succeed at every goal that you set for yourself. So the first thing to do is to define the goal in terms of what exactly you need to do. It's about being specific with regards to the goal. So I might set a goal of I want to be more successful at work. Well, what exactly does that mean? See, the problem is something like being more successful at work is really, really vague. So it's going to make it a lot more difficult for me to accomplish or succeed at that goal because I don't really even know what that goal is. Maybe something like I want to lose 25 pounds. Well, that seems specific, right? Well, not really, because it's the outcome that's specific, but the mechanism of how I'm going to get to that outcome isn't specific. So how am I going to lose these 25 pounds? Am I going to eat more salad, hire a personal trainer, lift weights? Am I going to take up running? Am I going to take up intermittent fasting? Am I going to drink more water? Go to CrossFit classes? Am I going to go hiking? Am I going to eliminate junk food? I don't know exactly how it is that I'm planning on losing these 25 pounds. And so if I don't know exactly what I need to do, if I don't know the behavior I need to engage in, it makes it a lot harder to actually accomplish the goal. So going back to the weight loss example, a better way of structuring the goal in terms of being more specific is I'm going to take up running to help me lose that 25 pounds. So I'm giving myself a roadmap for how I'm actually going to achieve this goal. Now, the second step is thinking about the goal in terms of my behavior, what I'm doing. And so I need to define the goal and define success in terms of what I do, not how I feel about it. So the thing is, we will often set goals and create goals with feelings attached. Things like, I'm going to go for that run and get that runner's high and feel great afterwards. The problem with this is that we know that people don't have direct control over how they feel. So if you're setting a goal that says, I have to feel a certain way, it makes it much more difficult to actually accomplish that goal. Because if you could choose how you felt, you'd probably choose to feel great all the time. Now, the other part of this step is to define the goal and define success in terms of me and my behavior, not the behavior of someone else. So if I set a goal of, my goal is to go running 2 or 3 times a week with a friend, the problem with setting a goal that way is that it requires my friend to succeed. So it requires my friend to behave in a certain way in order for me to achieve my goal. You see, the whole point of step 2 is to ensure that the goal and success is completely within my control. So a better way of approaching this goal, a better way of setting this goal would be to ask a friend to go running 2 or 3 times a week. So what I do there is I now take it away from the friend's behavior and I focus it back on my behavior. My behavior is to just ask the friend. And if I ask the friend, I've succeeded at the goal. Now, step 3 is clearly specifying what the end line of the goal is. In other words, how do I know that I've succeeded? You see, too often our goals lack a clear sense of what we actually want to accomplish. It's kind of like doing the high jump without actually knowing how high the bar actually is. So we set these goals, but we don't really clearly specify what we need to accomplish. And so the idea of this step is to decide in advance what success is. Where is the finish line? So if I set a goal of my goal is to go for 2 or 3 runs a week, well, what's the finish line? Is it 2 runs a week or is it 3 runs a week? And how long do I have to go on these runs? Am I defining it in terms of how far I go? Am I defining it in terms of how much time it's going to take? Well, if I'm not clear about the end line, I'm not going to know whether or not I've actually succeeded. So this seems straightforward, but if you don't think about it ahead of time, it's really easy to set goals that you're never going to succeed at because you never actually define what success is. So a better example of a goal like this is my goal is to go for 2 runs a week of at least 5 kilometers. So I've made it very clear what success is. I've made it very clear whether or not I've achieved the goal. 2 runs, 5 kilometers, I've achieved the goal. And finally, step 4 is the reality check step. You see, the thing is, we often have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. Sort of ties back into that whole New Year's resolution problem. We expect more of ourselves than we can realistically do. So the idea is to be honest and real with yourself about whether or not this goal that you're setting is actually something you can accomplish. I refer to this as the 95% rule. If I'm not 95% certain that I can accomplish this goal, then the idea is I need to scale it back and make it smaller until I am 95% sure I can accomplish that goal. You see, the thing is, it's way better to set smaller goals that you consistently achieve than really ambitious goals that you continuously fail at. And so what this requires is me to think about, where am I now in relation to this goal? So how much am I running right now? Well, if I'm not running at all, then is it realistic for me to expect that starting next week, I'm going to go for 2 5-kilometer runs? Well, that probably is a bit unrealistic. I'm falling into that whole New Year's resolution issue. So a better goal in this situation would be something like, my goal is to once a week go for a 20-minute run where I spend 1 minute running and 1 minute walking. And I alternate between the two. It's a smaller goal, but it's far more realistic for someone who's not doing any running at all. So the takeaway message from all of this is that success doesn't just happen. Goals don't plan themselves. Goals don't accomplish themselves. So it's important to take some time and plan these things out and make sure that when you're setting goals or setting your expectations for yourself, you go through these 4 steps. So, do I know exactly what I'm doing in terms of this goal? Have I defined the goal and subsequently success in terms of what I'm doing and not how I feel about it and not the actions of other people? Do I have a clear end line for success? And am I realistic about what the goal is and making sure it fits that 95% rule? If you do all of these things, you will succeed at every goal that you set for yourself. Now, the thing is, this is an important point, that doesn't mean you're always going to get what you want. You see, what I'm doing here, and what I'm talking about here, is differentiating the process from the outcome. The thing is, you can't control outcomes. You can't control if you're going to get that job. You can't control if you're going to lose the 25 pounds. You can't control whether or not that person will agree to go on a date with you. You can't control whether or not you get into medical school. But that's life. You can't control everything in life. You can't control the world. So a big part of this is tolerating the uncertainty in all of it and focusing on what you can control. And what you can control is you. And by separating goals from outcomes, what you do is you give yourself the opportunity to succeed at every goal you will ever set for yourself. And that will always be the best you can do. So I hope that makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this, or if you have any questions about this, please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.